If you're in the sandwich generation, your parents are aging and maybe even declining, and you still have kids at home, and you might also even have conflict, serious conflict, and even estrangement across these generations. In this video, I'm going to go over different ways that this can occur, and also obviously things that you can do when it occurs for you, and also depending how it occurs. Research on estrangement is relatively new, but for the moment, it shows that estrangement is much more common than people think. One nationally representative study in the US shows that 27% of adults are actually actively estranged from a member, at least one member of their family. And while there's no conclusive data on whether estrangement is on the rise or on the decline, it's possible that because of the number of celebrities that are revealing publicly their family divides, it's possible that more people feel comfortable also revealing their own family struggles. So why don't you support each other and click the like button if there are some estranged relationships in your family? Estrangement can be due to conflicts that linger over time, but it can also be due to physical distance, lack of time or perceived lack of time as our lives become ever so much more busy. I have a client who feels estranged from his oldest son, who's an adult and lives 10 minutes away from his dad, but somehow never calls or comes to visit. I've suggested to this client that they take matters in their own hands and that they call to try to set up something, but something is preventing them from actually taking action on that. And so maybe you also have something that's preventing you from reaching out to someone you feel estranged from in your family. From my point of view, that's a shame, but I admit I have a strong bias for exploring relationship difficulties rather than letting them degrade and distance settle in. I admit it takes some intentionality and also some skills, but in my experience, both personal and professional, it really brings depth in relationships and satisfaction that are otherwise just simply not available. So if, like me, you think that talking things through is a good idea, then why don't you put talk in the comments so I know I'm not alone with this opinion? And if talking things through appeals to you, but you don't know how to go about it, that's definitely something I work on with my clients, so feel free to contact me by email if you'd like an appointment. So I have an elderly neighbor who's been estranged from her daughter for 2 or 3 decades. Apparently her daughter stopped wanting to talk to her abruptly with no explanation, and my neighbor finds that pretty sad. Now, if you have a radical situation like that, probably the best thing you can do is to work to be at peace with that situation as much as you can. And just so you know, that's also something I help my clients with. But communication can really help with relational impasses sometimes, but there's a couple of things to watch. One of my therapy clients had some conflict in her relationship with her sisters regarding decisions to be made about their aging mother. And I helped her to formulate some things differently and also to let go of some other things, and that allowed the relationship with her sisters to really appease. So there's 2 things that allowed my client to appease the relationship with her sisters. The first was to improve communication, and the other was to learn to let go of certain things. And I'm going to go into those things now. To improve your communication, I have 2 tips for you. When you want to express how you feel about something, usually it's when we feel sad or angry that this gets tricky. So I encourage you to express it like this. I feel this way, so I feel sad or angry in this situation. Or, when you say that or do that, I feel this and that way. Rather than, you're making me feel like this and like that. So you're making me feel sad or you're making me feel angry. Even though sometimes I agree, it does seem that the other person is making us feel a certain way. It's important to understand that the same way it takes 2 to tango, it actually takes 2 for a conversation to go in a certain direction. And the reason why this is so important is that if you start with an accusation, you will get a defensive response almost 100% of the time. Like yes, but, or no, but, or that's not true, or but you started it. So that's about expression. And then there's how you listen. So I encourage you to learn to listen to understand. Most people listen to respond. Now, if your objective is to be right, then yeah, listen to respond. But if your objective is to improve your communication, I really encourage you to learn to listen to understand what the other is saying and what they're feeling. The bit about letting go is about granting the other person the right to be different, to have different opinions and values from yours, and also the right to make different decisions in their life. This can be hard, but it's necessary. How do you feel when somebody tells you that there's something wrong with your preferences or your values? It just doesn't feel very good, does it? It doesn't seem very kind. The next question becomes how to prioritize the different generations. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this next video. How to prioritize the different generations when you're in the middle and now that you have some tools to improve the relationships. So click on the image now to watch it, and I'll see you there.